Good evening, and welcome to WANA Live, the reading series of the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia. I'm your host, Damian Drusick, and this here's your other host.
Christina Fasonic. How are you tonight, Damien?
It's a long day living in Reseda.
You haven't said that in a while.
I haven't felt that in a while.
Yeah, it's a little warm here in Northern Appalachia. A little warmer than usual, wouldn't you say? I mean, it was, I think, 84 degrees when I got home at like 5:30 or something.
Yes, I left a case of water in my car and it evaporated.
Wow, you could make tea with it. It's so hot.
Well, I was going to until it evaporated.
Jeez, that's crazy. Anyway, so tonight we have a brand new guest.
This is not a brand new guest.
What's that?
I don't think this is a brand new guest. I think we've had.
No, we've never had
that. We've never had. Wait, we're that remiss?
I think so, yeah.
We have never had Denton Loving.
I don't believe so. We can ask him, though, but we can't ask him until we bring him on.
We better bring him on.
All right, so tonight our guest is Denton Loving. He is the author of the poetry collection Crimes Against Birds and Tamp, which just came out from Mercer University Press. He earned the Master of Fine Arts in Writing and Literature from Bennington College. He is a co-founder and editor at Eastover Press and its literary journal CutBank. His writing has appeared in numerous publications, including Iron Horse Literary Review, Kenyon Review, Tupelo Quarterly, the Chattahoochee Review, Harvard Divinity Bulletin, and the Three Penny Review. So let's bring him on and find out. I don't think we've had him on before.
Sorry, Damien. Never been here before.
Okay,
but thrilled to be here now.
I'm so happy we're correcting the error of our ways.
Yes.
In terms of when I think about. I got to admit that when I think about Appalachian literature, you are one of the 10 or 15 people that are pretty high on the this is a name that comes to mind really quickly, and I cannot believe we haven't had you on.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know, it just hasn't worked out before, I guess, but I'm really grateful to be here now.
We're excited to have you. Thank you for making time.
Yes, and you have a brand new book out, and I've been following what you've been reporting on Facebook, and people are loving this new book. That's awesome.
People have been incredibly generous and kind these last, it's really like, I think 9 days old technically. And it got a little boost from pre-orders that went out early. So it got into people's hands a little earlier, but I've been overwhelmed by how many people have told me that they have ordered the book, or they have the book in their hands. They're reading the book. It's really great. I'm so grateful. This book took me a long time to write. It took me, I would say 6 years at least.
Wow.
And there are probably a couple of poems that are maybe a little bit older than that I was able to resurrect. But it's also like a really deeply personal book. So it's great to get it out there. And I'm just so glad that it's finding readers.
Well, we are very happy to have you on to talk about this freshly printed book. So we will go away and give you a chance to read some work from it.
Okay, that's great. I'm going to start with the very first poem in the book, which I think sort of establishes a lot of the themes that go throughout the book. And this poem is called Hurdling. I'm 5 again, and it's so dark I can't see the road. Are we going through a tunnel? My dead father says, no, go back to sleep. He reaches across the bench seat. The weight of his hand quiets the starlings in my belly. I know I'm safe as long as he's close. Within the darkness, stars pinprick the horizon. The small blue egg inside my breastbone cracks with understanding. We're not sweeping through a tunnel under the crush of a mountain. We're hurtling through the heavens on the wings of an ancient magical bird. The next poem that I'm going to read is called The Fence Builder, and the name of the collection is Tamp, and that title comes from this poem. So this is The Fence Builder. My graves don't rise or sink, the gravedigger says, after I show him the place to bury my father. I take in the view as if this valley is what he'll see for eternity. Down the hill, children play outside the elementary school. Sheep pasture around the cemetery. Some people just push their pile of dirt back in, but I tamp the dirt at every level. I'd never wondered why some graves swell and some settle and sag, but the gravedigger's words stay with me. He taps the clay above my sleeping dad, leveling the damp ground just as the man in the casket taught me to tamp around wooden posts to make a new fence last, packing the dirt and rocks so wire is pulled taut, forced to hold tight for at least a generation. Those rhythmic strikes, a refrain for all who take pride in a task well done. Those men who work the earth, the fence builder, erecting his monuments, the gravedigger, and all he lays to rest. This is a poem called Riding Lawnmower. There's actually quite a few riding lawnmowers that make their way into my poems for various reasons. But this one is Riding Lawnmower. After the first small engine repairman tells me 5 miles is too far for a house call or a pickup, the second repairman tells me I should disassemble the mower myself, bring him the offending portion. Lincoln said his father taught him to work, but never to like it. My father taught me to work on lawnmowers, so of course I think about buying a new machine. Instead, I crawl into summer-warm grass like my father taught me. I pull S-pins and retaining springs, freeing suspension arms and the anti-sway bar, separating clutch rod from clutch lever. I mechanic my way beyond my skill set until the mulching deck falls limp. A pneumatic drill unlocks frozen, broken blades turned upside down, new ones hex bolt on, naked edges glinting in the light. I reverse engineer, reattach metal to metal, secure it all with a taut pulley belt. Such unbindings and rebindings are common. This tractor and I will again tame briar hills of blackberry, wild rose. We will battle stones rising quietly in the pasture at night like ghosts. There is no choice but to keep going and to keep working until the final unfixable end. And I think I have time for one more. And this is called Genealogy. To be the son of a coal miner is to be a child of mountains. And to be a child of mountains is to be Appalachian. And to be Appalachian is to be frontier and pioneer. And to be frontier and pioneer is to be Boone's cousin. And to be Boone's cousin is to be Long Hunter. And to be Long Hunter is to be Tuckahoe and Buckskin. And to be Tuckahoe and Buckskin is to be the son of Pocahontas. And to be the son of Pocahontas is to be Powhatan. And to be Powhatan is to be Tidewater. And to be Tidewater is to be settler and planter. And to be settler and planter is to be enslaved and enslaver. And to be enslaved and enslaver is to be disinherited. And to be disinherited is to be a second son. And to be a second son is to be cavalier. And to be cavalier is to be Catholic and Protestant. And to be Catholic and Protestant is to lose your head. And to lose your head is to take a head or two. And to take a head or two is to be Lancastrian and Yorkist. And to be Lancastrian and Yorkist is to be the devil's daughter. And to be the devil's daughter is to be a friend of Dante. And to be a friend of Dante is to boil in the seventh circle. And to boil in the seventh circle is to be a fratricide. And to be a fratricide is to be a king. And to be a king is to wear a crown. And to wear a crown is to be a conqueror. And to be a conqueror is to be a bastard. And to be a bastard is to be chosen by God. And to be chosen by God is to be a saint. And to be a saint is to be a scourge and a plague. And to be a scourge and a plague is to be barbarian and pagan. And to be barbarian and pagan is to be the son of a bear. And to be the son of a bear is to be a senator. And to be a senator is to be a Roman imperialist. And to be a Roman imperialist is to be the twin son of a wolf. And to be the twin son of a wolf is to be an emperor. And to be an emperor is to be Julio Claudian. And to be Julio Claudian is to be the son of Aphrodite the mother. And to be the son of Aphrodite the mother is to be Greek. And to be Greek is to be ancient. And to be ancient is to be prehistoric. And to be prehistoric is to be mythological. And to be mythological is to be a Trojan prince. And to be a Trojan prince is to be a son of a shepherd. And to be a son of a shepherd is to be a son of Zeus. And to be a son of Zeus is to be descended from Titans. And to be descended from Titans is to be a god. And to be a god is to be divinely human. And to be divinely human is to be pre-Adamite. And to be pre-Adamite is to be shaped from particles of dust. And to be shaped from particles of dust is to be a scion of stars. And I'll end there.
That was really wonderful.
Thank you.
That was amazing. I when you said you had time for one more, I was like, oh come on, man, you got time for more than that. And then I'm thinking, wow, that's a heck of a way to go out. That was amazing work. To be a bastard. I sometimes when people read, I because I'm a writer and we're all greedy, I look for epigrams for other work, and there are at least 10 of them in there that were just so delicious and portable. But my favorite, to be a bastard is to be chosen by God. Like there ought to be at least 20 books that use that as an epigram. I love that.
That's great. I'm glad you liked it. Thanks.
That was wonderful work. It was so delicious. I can imagine using that, like using your work as like an exercise for young creative writers to like, hey, look what Dylan Loving did. Try and play with this as a thing. This is really a neat form.
I hope that would be true. I borrowed part of that form from a Major Jackson poem. His poem is called, I believe it's called OK Cupid. And he is originally playing with the ideas of algorithms. And my poem is doing something a little bit different. It's playing with time and moving backwards throughout generations. So it's a sort of a difference in the central concept of the two poems, but the form to equate one thing with another thing is very much the same. And it's such a fun thing to do. I'd love to see other people imitate that.
No, it's super quiet. I have to admit, as somebody who's conspicuously not mechanically inclined, the final unfixable end for me is when it runs out of gas. But I never imagined like sort of a shadowlogical lawnmower poetry. I love it. That was great. I'll let Christina talk. There was one more thing I really want to jump out with, but I don't want to go wild here.
Well, I wondered, I love the titles of books. Like, as a writer myself, I'm always thinking about what would be intriguing enough to make someone want to pick up my book and read it, but not so strange that people would say, what's that? And keep walking, And when I first saw the title of your book, when you started talking about, I got this book that's coming out, I kept thinking, is this about tamping down the earth? Is it about tamping down gunpowder? Is it about tamping, what does that mean? And listening to you read that poem, it made me realize, it's about taking pride in your work, the final step, the securing of something that you care about. And I think
the great thing about that word is that there are so many meanings, and I think it can. I love that interpretation of the idea of taking pride in your work, but definitely the physicality of the way we tamp the ground and we use it in that way, that was very central. But also the idea of the other way that we typically use that word is to tamp down emotion, right? And so much of this book is about grief. It seemed to apply really well to think about how the things we do after the loss of someone important is just going through these motions to tamp down what we're feeling.
Well, and I was thinking about that because the sound that a shovel makes on something that deep, in that hollow but heavy sound of tamping down grief and what you're feeling. I mean, it was just, I really, really love that. And it's such a great title for the book.
Thank you. I am notoriously bad at titles. It's really difficult for me to find or settle on the right title. I admire those people that always say, "Oh, I always know the title to a poem or a story or whatever before I write it. The title comes first." That is never the case with me. But I will say that once I wrote that poem and I thought more and more about that word, it became very clear to me that that was what the title of the manuscript had to be. And there just never was a close second option for me.
It was awesome. It was a really fantastic poem.
Thank you.
It's interesting when you talk about the idea of grief in your work. When the first poem you read was like this wonderful, small moment. It reminded me a lot, and I was just, this is probably one of the stupidest questions you've ever been asked by anybody ever. But it reminded me a lot of that REM song, "You Are the Everything." With somebody being in the back seat, and the stillness, and the parent in the front seat, and that sense of safety.
I've never made that connection with that particular song, but I think about my dad a lot as being part of the car generation that, we seem to be getting further and further away from, which has its merits. But, so many kids in our current time are not really interested in getting their driver's licenses. They're, why bother? For my dad and people that I know of his generation, cars were really important. And I think because of that, and because my family has been very spread out, my mom is from Pennsylvania, my dad was from Kentucky and Tennessee. I spent a lot of my, especially early childhood, driving up and down interstates. And so there's a heavy association with my dad to cars. And that kind of idea of me being a child, being in the back seat with my dad driving, knowing everything was okay, that is something that lingers in my subconsciousness.
I have a lot of memories like that too. And I've written about some of those in like short pieces of being in the back seat of my dad's car, and it's the holidays, and there's this certain song on the radio. I can see the lights coming in the window and feeling like it's this cocoon in some way, a cocoon on wheels that I'm safe there. We're all together somehow, and it's good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, like before people were interested, in safety, the idea of, I remember my parents had a VW Beetle, and I would sleep on the back window of it, like with the thing. And then there's this idea of like my father and I had a complex relationship, and getting to sit with him in the front seat at like 8, 9 for long like interstate, as you say, Dylan. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm sorry. As you say, Denton, these long interstate drives where you're on the CB, and the Smokies are out, and the Bears, and you get to talk, and it's you feel like you're joining an adult world for just a flash moment.
Yeah,
like it's almost a premonition.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Yeah,
and also there was this
car, like with your dad or something, and you're out there. My dad, the whole thing with him was he had to have his car spotless, and I was the inside of the window washer, and all of these things, and it was so much of life revolved. I mean, he taught me to change spark plugs when I was like 9 years old. I mean, so much of our lives revolved around that car culture that you're talking about that just doesn't seem to be a thing anymore.
Right.
Go ahead.
It seems to be disappearing. I really feel that way. And like I said, it's not entirely a bad thing, but it is a definite change. And it really wasn't until maybe towards the end of my dad's life or after he had passed that I started thinking about how important cars always were to him in a way that cars just have never been to me. They've always been, I've always been glad to have a car. They've gotten me from point A to point B. But there was a real pride from some of those people about their cars.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I've really loved this conversation. It's been fantastic, and we do have some people that are listening. Of course, I'll put some of their comments up. We have someone that is watching from Atlanta, Metro Atlanta.
That's great.
That's very cool. And Jeff Newberry, a poet. He is watching us from the South also, and Jerry Rigger, who regularly tunes in. What a nice journey! Thank you. And then Chrissy Anderson Peters says he is great at titles. So disputing your thought that you're not good at titles.
Chrissy's wrong. I'm not always good at titles, but Chrissy often reminds me that I gave her good advice about a title one time, and it turned out well for her. So yeah.
See, I always thought because you named the Orchard Keeper's residency. And I was like, that's a great, I love that. I'm with her.
Okay. All right. I'm overruled. That's fine.
And our listener watcher from Atlanta says Tamp is the only possible title. And
I think so too.
So do you want to show us this book so people can go out and find it?
Yeah, this is Tamp.
Great cover.
Thank you very much. It's published by Mercer University Press. They did a beautiful job with the book. I am the kind of person that I'm never sure about anything. And so they showed me the cover and I was like, okay, I don't know, but everyone has been so nice about it. And it has really grown on me more and more with every day. I'm really think it's beautiful now.
Well, it definitely stands out on social media. Every time I see it coming through my feed, it catches my attention. So
good.
That's good thing we need. Oh, we have another comment from Alan Thomas. Denton, you're too modest.
Thanks, Alan.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And we still can't believe we haven't had you on before this moment. So
I look forward to coming back.
Oh,
we look forward to having you back.
And everybody go out and get a copy of Tamp. You can find it just about everywhere online. And I assume some small bookstores and things like that too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can order through your local bookstore. City Lights bookstore in Sylvan, North Carolina has made a special link and they have it and can get it to you wherever you are. And you can also order directly from Mercer University Press and of course all the usual suspects online.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Wait, was Marshall University? Was it Mercer or Marshall?
It's Mercer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also, one of the reasons that I know we want to end with the book, but I think one of the things that people really need to know is you're also in the publishing game. You're out there. You're doing wonderful literary stuff, putting out books.
Thank you. Yeah, we're working hard. Some friends and I started Eastover Press and the online lit journal Cutleaf. It was a pandemic baby that we decided to get off the ground when we were, all of us were still at home and we were trying to figure out what to do and how to move forward. And we started it, and it's been amazing the way that it's taken off. We feel really fortunate that we've gotten to publish some books that we really, really love, and are happy to get those books out into people's hands.
Super cool. So check out Eastover Books.
Eastover Press. Yes.
Press.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for being on, and please come back anytime. And we hope to see you at ASA at the very latest, right?
I hope so too. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.